Don't look now, folks, but the autumn wind is upon us. Welcome, everyone, to the Outsider Sports Show. Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger joining you here as part of the Great American Sports Network. Be sure to check out the site, greatamericansportsnetwork.com. Noah, we are everywhere now.
Yes, we are. We are on Twitter. We've got Facebook. We've got our website. We've got contributors writing for us. We've got our shows underway. We're building a set. We are everywhere, and we've got it all covered for you.
Shoot. NFL Network, pretty good.
Not bad.
SEC Network, doing very well as it's about to launch. But the Great American Sports Network, guys, that's where it's all at. You'll find all of our archived interviews, all of our shows, all of our great articles from our wonderful contributors on the site. So be sure to check it out. But today, guys, it is our NFL preview. Like I said, it is time. The helmets are strapped up. It's time to get rolling. Preseason's underway. And we're going to be hitting on all the big storylines here during our NFL preview, including 3 huge guests can help us break it all down, Noah.
That's right. From NFL Network, an NFL Network analyst, Daniel Jeremiah, will be joining us.
We also have former Raider, our favorite guest, George Atkinson. He's the pre- and post-game show reporter for the Oakland Raiders radio network. And we're going to be talking about the AFC West with George. And, of course, Jeffri Chadiha, ESPN senior writer, going to be joining us to talk about everything else NFL-related, because we're going to cover as many topics as we can for you guys, talking about all things NFL. And as things get underway here, we will be giving our picks, our Super Bowl picks, playoff picks, maybe division champs, all that at the end of the program. But hitting on some quick notes, guys, we're going to be looking for so many things this year. Johnny Manziel, the eyes are on him. The eyes are on Cleveland for the first time since they've moved back to Cleveland in '99. The Browns are not in the NFL Witness Protection Program.
Yeah, they have a really strong defense. That's going to carry their football team. But what is the offense going to do? What's Johnny Manziel going to do? Is he even going to get on the field and be able to play this season? Or is Brian Hoyer going to hold down the fort there? I think Johnny Manziel will play sooner rather than later.
When Daniel Jeremiah joins us here at the top of the segment, we're going to be talking about teams taking a step back and teams maybe coming out of nowhere to take a step forward. So there's a lot to be said for teams like Kansas City, teams like Carolina, that may be taking a step backwards in 2014. And then we're going to talk about also some that may be looking to get back into the playoff hunt. Teams like Detroit comes to mind.
Tampa Bay teams trending upward.
Going to be hard, but someone like St. Louis, who has a good roster on paper and a quarterback back ready to play football with us, a couple weapons. So we're going to be talking about all those things, with Daniel Jeremiah, but so many other things to hit on.
I'm definitely going to be looking forward to seeing how Geno Smith's going to play. What about Tony Romo's back? Is he going to end up like Tiger Woods and have to limp out of an NFL game and go home for the rest of the season? What's going to happen?
A lot to discuss, and when we come back, we are going to be joined by NFL Network analyst Daniel Jeremiah. And welcome back to the Outsider Sports Show here on the Great American Sports Network, joined right now by NFL Network analyst Daniel Jeremiah. Daniel, how's it going? Fresh off your dip in the pool there in Jacksonville. Are you looking for some season tickets in that pool? I think that'd be a good option.
I tell you what, I want to get out there for the game between Georgia and Florida, the cocktail party, the Great American Cocktail Party. I want to be out there. I want to be in that pool, and I want to take in a college rivalry game. I don't know how it gets any better than that.
That would be amazing. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party in Jacksonville with the pool now. I can't imagine some of the female talent that would surround that. That's just something in the back of my mind. I don't know. But Daniel, of course, so much going on. Of course, season's getting ready to get underway. I'm sure you're not busy at all these days there at the NFL Network. But obviously, you guys are. You got a couple games coming up on Thursday night. And then on Saturday, our first look at Johnny Manziel and the Cleveland Browns. How do you see that playing out? Him and Brian Hoyer look to be neck and neck right now. But who do you think wins that job come September?
Well, I think if it's close or even remotely close, I think you probably just go with Johnny Manziel and try and get him up to speed, get him some reps out there. So to me, unless it's just a lopsided affair, I think things are looking more and more like it is going to be Johnny Manziel starter. And when you look at the preseason games and how that's set up, especially the first one, but Hoyer starting, Manziel will get out there with the twos. He'll be playing against backups. He'll be running around against simple schemes and simple defenses, and I think he'll make all kinds of plays. And the buzz will build, and there'll be no turning back. It'll be the Johnny Manziel show.
Well, we kind of want to get in with you on some teams that could be looking to take a step back. We've looked at the Chiefs, maybe the Cardinals, now that they've lost Darrell Washington to a year suspension and Carlos Dansby to the Cleveland Browns, who we were just talking about. So, who are some teams that you could see that might take a step back this year?
I mean, the Carolina Panthers to me are the one that just jumps out at you, and everybody points to the receiver position. You know, if they didn't do a lot to address the receiver position, you know, they drafted Kelvin Benjamin in the first round, but then outside of that, you got a bunch of journeymen in Chadiha and Jason Devon, just kind of, you know, not real exciting weapons there for Cam Newton. To me, the greater concern is with this offensive line and what they're going to do there. And you've got right now Chandler starting at left tackle, who was a defensive lineman at UCLA a couple years ago, who's raw as can be. Then you got Byron Bell at right tackle, who did not play well last year. I believe he's another free agent out of New Mexico. So George Gross is gone; he's retired, and you've got two suspect offensive tackles. And you couple that with not really having proven, you know, big time targets Cam Newton to throw the football to. Man, I get a little bit nervous in that division. I know the Panthers' defense is going to be outstanding, but offensively, man, they got a lot of holes to patch in that boat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Cam Newton's career takes off from here. But as we talk about, of course, we're here in Kansas City covering the Chiefs, and a lot of people not too happy with our pick of the Chiefs as being a team that might take a step back. But Daniel, you know, you look at what some of the things the Chiefs lost on the offensive line, 3 starters, breaking in Eric Fisher at left tackle, which hasn't been going so well in camp. A lot of injuries mounting in camp. Starting safety goes down with a broken ankle. Eric Berry nursing a sore heel, a lot of injuries coming up. Did not find a receiver that they wanted, maybe to supplement Alex Smith's game. How do you see this Chiefs season playing out, and can they be in the thick of that wild card spot again? Obviously, no one's beating Denver, but are they a playoff team in 2014?
You know what? It's gonna be interesting to see how it all comes together. I think you still look in that division. I think Denver's ahead of them right now. I think you look at what San Diego's done in the offseason and year 2 with Mike before. I think you're going to see them continue to improve and be better. I think right now I put Kansas City kind of neck and neck with San Diego. I think it's going to be a battle for them, both those teams. I wouldn't be shocked if we emerge with both teams in the playoffs again. If we have 3 teams from the AFC West returning to the playoffs, it would not surprise me in the least. I do think they'll battle there for second place behind Denver with San Diego.
Well, on the flip side of things, let's take a look at some teams that could take a step forward this year. I know some hot picks are Tampa Bay, Washington, Atlanta getting healthy with Julio Jones and Roddy White. Who are some teams that could surprise us coming into 2014?
Well, I mean, there's always candidates to surprise you. I mean, St. Louis has got a really talented roster, and, you know, you've heard a lot about them with the 2 draft picks they've had. Get Sam Bradford back healthy. That's an interesting team. You know, one of the more talented teams I visited on my tour was Buffalo because, you know, they got a great defensive line. They've got a lot of speed on offense. I think Sammy Watkins is going to be a stud. But the quarterback play is a major concern, which I think could hold them back. Another team that I visited that impressed me was Tampa. I mean, Tampa's added a lot of weapons. They've upgraded their offensive line a little bit. They get Michael Johnson on the defensive line. You know, they've got a lot of talent on that team. You get Vince Jackson and Mike Evans and Josh Count to play like he did last year. I think they could have a real turnaround season as well.
Well, I'm going to talk to you, Daniel, a little bit about the NFL Network, which has been, you know, such a big deal for the National Football League and how you guys have brought this thing up in the last 8 years. I mean, you guys have got to the point now where there's, you know, you're going to have a Thursday night game every week on the NFL Network, and you guys have done such good work. How big is that for you guys, and how excited are you to be able to host? I believe almost every single team is going to have a primetime Thursday night game on your network this year, and how big is that for you guys in the league?
Yeah, you know, the partnership with CBS is pretty cool. You know, the first, I believe it's first 8 games will be on CBS. It'll be simulcast on NFL Network, and then after that, we'll take over, and the games will be on our network. Although it'll still be with the CBS announcers with Phil Simms, Jim Nantz. So it's gonna be a fun partnership, and it looks like a good slate of games. I know some people, you know, they're maybe not crazy about Thursday night, and they go, oh, the quality of the play maybe took a dip. But there's nothing else I'd rather be watching on Thursday night than NFL football. So I for one, am a big fan, and I think everybody having a chance to play one of those games, I think it's fair. I think it's spread out, and more football is never a bad thing, in my opinion.
Well, going into this season, what are some new playoff teams? There's always a changeover from one season to the next. What are some new playoff teams you see coming this year?
Well, I keep an eye on Tampa. I think Tampa's got a chance to compete for that wild card spot. Another team in the NFC that I'm really intrigued by is Washington. You know, if RG3 can stay healthy and Jake Gruden's there, they got Deshaun Jackson. That's an interesting team to keep an eye on. I think they could have a little bit of a turnaround. And then, you know, you have the Jets, to me, are kind of a wild card team. Geno Smith can play steady QB. Their defensive line, very gifted. You know, Rex Ryan just kind of has a way when you think that, you know, people start to count him out a little bit, he comes off the rope swinging. So that to me is another team. I mean, that's the best part about the NFL. This time of year, there's optimism across the league. There's a lot of teams with a lot of hope. But it'll be fun to kind of get in the preseason and get a chance to see them out there and see what looks legitimate and maybe who are some of the contenders.
Absolutely. And last year, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs were that team from 2-14 to 11-5 in the playoffs. And we talked a little bit before about all that they lost. But there's one player that you're very excited about, and that's DeAnthony Thomas. I think you just tweeted to keep an eye on him as the preseason slate gets underway. What kind of dynamic do you think he adds to the Chiefs offense? And a lot of people are comparing him to Dexter McCluster. Do you think he brings more to the Chiefs offense than a guy like Dexter McCluster did at that position?
Yeah, I think it's a better player than Dexter McCluster was coming out of college. Did both of them. But, you know, they need to get more explosive. You have Jamal Charles in the backfield. They need to get some more explosive plays down the field. And DeAnthony Thomas can do that. I mean, obviously, he can play in the backfield if you need him to spell the ball. You can put them both back there and be creative. But I think his ability to split out the slot, his ability to catch a short pass around with it, his ability to get vertical, he's been a big play machine throughout his career, and I think Andy Reid needed some more explosiveness, especially in the passing game. And I'd be surprised if he didn't have a solid year this year.
Well, we got to hold your feet to the fire, Daniel. We got to get some Super Bowl picks out of you. I know it's early, but we got to do it.
Super Bowl picks, man! I haven't even begun to go there yet. Super Bowl picks. If I was going to say right now, great year. You know, I still say Seattle goes back to the Super Bowl. I would say Seattle. I'll go Seattle over the Colts. Seattle goes back to back.
Colts.
Make the ball right now.
Love it, man. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, Daniel, cannot thank you enough for your time today. And guys, make sure you follow Daniel at Move the Sticks on Twitter. We definitely do. Always a good read from you, my man. And we cannot thank you enough. Have a great rest of the season. I know you're going to be busy, so we probably won't talk to you till the season winds down and things clear up a little bit more for you. So try not to stay too busy and have a great season on NFL Network, my man.
I appreciate it. You guys have a good one, man. Enjoy the football season.
Thanks a lot, Daniel. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Bye.
Big thanks to Daniel Jeremiah for joining us, Noah, helping us get this NFL season kicked off right as part of the NFL Network, because everyone knows when it comes to NFL Network, when you get cable, when you get, satellite put in your home, what's the first thing you say whenever they go, well, what kind of package do you want? Well, what does the NFL Network come on? That's the package I want. So great stuff, and he is one of my favorite parts about the NFL Network, one of my favorite analysts in the game, and you can follow him on Twitter, of course. Be sure to do that.
Yes, at Move the Sticks. Definitely follow him there. You saw him, if you were watching the training camp live for NFL Network, you saw him jumping into the pool at the Jaguars training camp, trying to cool off. He was at Tampa Bay, then he went up to Jacksonville. Too hot out there for Daniel, too hot out there for us, too hot for many football players who are retiring because of the heat. Sean McGrath.
Guys, when we come back, top of our next segment, we're going to be joined by former Raider George Atkinson, talking about the AFC West. It used to be one of the best divisions in football.
The autumn wind is a Raider.
And welcome back to the Outsider Sports Show. Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groniger joining you as always. Very special guest, going to help us talk AFC West, and it is George Atkinson, and no one knows the AFC West quite like him. George, how's everything in your world? How was your summer, and are you ready for some football, man?
Hey, man, it's on us. It's preseason already, and in a few weeks it'll be the regular season. Yes, I am ready for it, and it should be an interesting season, man. Everybody started fresh. Everybody's 0-0-0, so, hey, let's kick it off and get it going and see what we got here.
Well, let's talk about some of these off-season acquisitions. You guys had some problems at corner, so you decided the Niners knew what they were doing. Let's go get their corners. Carlos Rogers and Terrell Brown. You add Maurice Jones-Drew, Justin Tuck, Lamar Woodley. Talk about some of the free agents the Raiders brought in.
On the defensive side, Justin Tuck and Woodley. I mean, these guys are definitely leaders. Something the Raiders need to change the culture there is, a nucleus of veterans who can transform and show these young players that the Raiders have how to be pros and, what it takes to win football games. I like Tuck. I like Woodley. I like definitely. I like Charles Woodson. He's a leader. You look at Austin Howard. I'm sorry, he's on the offensive side. But when you look at Woodson and those guys, Pat Sims, they are definitely leaders. And the Raiders need that in order to develop this team and get it going and change the culture and get on a winning streak again and get back on the right track.
Well, do you see that as a possibility for the Raiders in 2014? You have a team like Kansas City who maybe is looking to take a step back with a roster that may be slightly diminished in a tougher schedule. Do you think the Raiders have a chance to jump up there into that second place position and maybe challenge for a wild card spot? Is this the year that the first winning season in over a decade occurs, George?
Well, they want to win a division. I mean, they want to win a division. I do think that they have the players that can take them to the division. When you look at it, I think the toughest team in the division this year could be San Diego. And I think the Raiders are right there with the teams that's in the division. I think Denver, although you can't ever count Manning out, quite naturally they're going to be good. But still, I think if you got good defense, and I think the Raiders' defense, they're quick, they're veterans on that defense, they're fast, and you got some young players who I think are going to make a difference. If you can play good pass defense against Denver, you can beat them. San Diego is just the opposite. You got to play good run defense because they will run the ball at you. And I think the Raiders right now are set for both the run and the pass game on defense, and I think that they will challenge for the division.
Well, what about some of these rookies that you guys brought in? A very highly touted draft class that the Raiders had for the first time in many years. Derek Carr, you bring him over to play quarterback. Him and Matt Schaub going at it. You got Khalil Mack, Gabe Jackson on the offensive line, and then someone you're pretty familiar with, George Atkinson III. I think you might know him a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a ways to come. He's got to pick up his blocking. He didn't look good in camp. I was in camp up until Thursday, and I'll go back on Monday. But he didn't look good blocking at all. He definitely has to pick his blocking up. He didn't learn much about that while he was at Notre Dame, evidently.
You can teach him the good old forearm shiver.
No, it's a lot more. There's more technique than that. He has to learn to get square, and he has to attack the defenders. Once he picks that up, he's going to be a pretty good back, I think. His pass catching has improved, and he runs the ball now with more authority. He's got a good coach there in the Raiders that has been working with him, and I think he has a chance of making the team.
Well, George, you talked about the AFC West. We talked a little bit about you thought San Diego might be a team that's really up there. I mean, how do you see this division breaking down? I mean, we've got, of course, Peyton Manning in Denver. They brought in a lot of players. DeMarcus Ware. They brought in Aqib Talib, guys to really make a championship run one more time with at least in the next couple of years. So do you see Denver is still definitively the best team? You talked about San Diego, and we also here in Kansas City we have a team coming off a playoff berth, but maybe looking to take a step back. How do you see this division going?
Here's how I see Denver. I see Denver as a one-dimensional team. I don't think that their running game is strong. I think Tillman's fumble prone. I don't know if they have much trust in him. What's the other kid?
Money Ball.
Ball. I don't know. I think did he have an issue injury-wise? at one point, if I'm thinking, but they don't run the ball very good, and you just can't throw the ball 100 times. I mean, teams will sit back and devise defenses to come at Manning, and they'll take away the same thing Seattle did in the Super Bowl, take away the short game and make Manning throw downfield. And that's what Seattle did and was successful, and I guarantee you'll see more of that this year. You know, you take away his outlets in the short game from him and make him throw the ball downfield, make him stand back there and put pressure on him at the same time. Because, as I said, they do not run the ball very well. So I see them as one-dimensional. The reason I said San Diego, I think Rivers has a supporting cast in the run game and the passing game, and they're two-dimensional. So you're going to have to deal with that. They are a pretty good football team. Kansas City, they could be a surprise. They have a few weapons, and with Charles there, and they got this kid, this rookie that's coming in from Oregon.
DeAnthony Thomas?
Say again?
DeAnthony Thomas?
DeAnthony Thomas is going to put some pressure on some defenses. I saw this kid when he was in high school, when my kids were in high school. They were in high school at the same time. I saw him run track. I saw him play in high school. He's a dynamic little kid. He's hard to guard in routes. He's tough to tackle when he's got the ball in his hands. He's not big, but he can be effective if Kansas City uses him right. So I see Kansas City could be a surprise also. And the Raiders, on the other hand, they're developing. If they're veterans, if the nucleus of this team comes together, then I think they have a chance right now in this division while teams are going through transition.
Well, what about this Raiders offense? We talked about their defense. It looks like it should do very well this season, but this offense, what are we going to see out of Matt Schaub? Is Derek Carr going to come along and take the job from him? Or has Matt Schaub kind of sealed his fate as the starting quarterback going into the season?
Well, right now you have to go with Schaub. I mean, here's a guy, don't forget, he made a Pro Bowl. You know, he's been in a Pro Bowl. He's been on playoff teams, and this guy can play. He's a big quarterback. He knows the game. He brings experience. The Raiders are giving him some weapons. I think Maurice Jones-Drew is going to surprise some people. I think McFadden will get a chance to stay healthy as a result of the fact that you have competition back there with Drew that will give him an opportunity not to have the ball as much, but when he gets it, I'm talking about McFadden, he can be very effective. Then, you know, the one thing I think the Raiders must improve on, and that's the receiving corps, especially the deep threat. Denarius Moore, is he the answer? I don't know. I mean, he's not looking that good. What I saw in camp, he drops too many balls, and but if he comes around, it'll give the Raiders a deep threat. That's where they're weak right now. The running game's strong. The offensive line is definitely strong. When you look at the offensive line, you're talking about Khalif Barnes, who's been around. You know, you're talking about Kevin Booth. You're talking about Wisniewski. You know, they have a capable offensive line. Then you're talking about Malik Watson, who's been around now, and you have Donald Penn and Austin Howard right there. So you're talking about an offensive line that is capable, big guys who can block a passer and can open holes for. And this is why I say the Raiders offense, I think, is going to be a pretty good offense because up front they're pretty good.
George, you've been outspoken in the past about the fact that Oakland, needs a new stadium, and as we look at Levi Stadium that's opening there, for the San Francisco 49ers, I know it's a little north of there, but what does this put pressure on Alameda County at all to try to make something happen? Because I know that you're a big proponent of getting this done.
Right. You think that it would. I mean, think about it. Listen, this stadium is around. I got here in '68. The stadium was 3 years old, I think, when I got it. When they built it, 64, 65, and the stadium is an old stadium. It's the dilapidated place. I mean, you go into it, it looks like you're in the Dark Ages. I mean, considering when you go to other stadiums, this is an embarrassment in the league. I mean, the league should want a new stadium in Oakland. If not, then, business takes over. But yeah, you would think that the county and the city and the powers that be here in Oakland would provide this team with a new stadium, as well as the baseball team. Nobody needs to play. That place needs to be imploded. It's a disgrace to stadiums, man. They should get rid of that thing and build a new facility there like other places are doing that want their team. So, it's a matter of politics, basically. So, we'll see how the political world plays its game, and, Mark Davis has to make his decision based on what happens with the decision of the politician.
Well, as always, George, we got your back. We'll try and get that pushed through.
I hope somebody can get it pushed through. You got contacts in the right places?
Well, you can always share. You can always share.
Let me ask you this. Do you have somebody with about 500 million?
Well,
might be a little short.
Fall just short of that, sadly. I mean, maybe you could just share with San Francisco. I mean, it works in New York. Maybe just head up to Santa.
San Francisco made a good deal on their own. Come on. Why would you do that? You need your own facility. If they had gone in together with that would be something different. That's San Francisco's deal. They deserve to have their own facility also.
I don't think you can implode the Oakland Coliseum, though, George, simply because of the history and the fact that you, Jack Tatum, the John Madden teams, they all played there. It's a historic facility. It literally should be a landmark. It can't be torn down, right?
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be played in anymore.
There you go. Well,
yeah, I mean, if they keep it as a landmark, great, but it shouldn't be played in anymore. There should be a new stadium here for the Raiders and the A's also.
Guys,
they deserve it, and the basketball team.
Yeah, good point. And guys, we're talking with former Raider George Atkinson. And before we let you go, George, of course, as we've had Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network on earlier, and we're going to have Jeff Chadiha coming up later from ESPN. We've got to get everyone Super Bowl picks. George, we're going to hold you. We're going to hold you to this. We're going to write it down right now and put your name next to it.
No, you're not falling into that one. Listen, it's too early. Come on, give me a chance at least to see somebody play. Super Bowl pick. I mean, come on.
Well, you can just pick Kansas City and just get it over with.
Listen, if I had any idea who would play in the Super Bowl, I would mortgage the house.
You'd be in Vegas right now. We'd all be in Vegas right now, right?
I would mortgage the house. No, I mean, I have no idea. It's just too early. It depends on how things shape out. You could pick a team and two injuries could sideline your whole pick. So, call me later on in the year. I'll be more than happy to give you a pick.
George, we will call you later in the year. You are our favorite guest by far, and we have 2 Chiefs-Raiders games to break down later in the season. I cannot wait to do it because we got a Thursday night game on NFL Network. It's going to be big, man. They're in Oakland.
Hey, you should come on out.
Absolutely.
Check it out.
Hey, we're there. You'd have to be our personal bodyguard, though, in the black hole.
Oh, I got you squared away. Don't worry about it.
Hey, George, we're there, man. We will. We'll definitely hit you up for that. And I'll tell you what.
You're at my house. When you're at my house, we show you great accommodations. Trust me.
Well, George, I don't know if Chiefs and Raiders fans would be, so excited about the fact we have such this good relationship, George. You and us do. I don't know if Chiefs and Raiders fans would truly.
Keep it that way.
Right. Exactly. Well. But is this really what we had in mind back when Davidson was spiking Lynn Dawson, and now all of a sudden we're hugging it out on the air, George. We're hugging it out.
The good old days.
That's right. And what's it going to take to ever return to that? Because I feel like in this day and age, players are in and out of teams. You really just the rivalry maybe isn't what it was, and I think we've talked about that before.
What you hit on the head is players, man, that move around now. Your free agency causes that to happen when you just don't have those type of intense rivalries anymore because guys move around so much. When you play for one team like I did, Otis Taylor did, Lynn Dawson did, Kenny Stabler did. I mean, when you play for years for one team, you build a rivalry when you're playing against your division foe. You may be playing for Oakland this year and Denver next year and Kansas City the next. So, how do you build a rivalry like that when you have players moving like they do? It's hard to do. Sometimes the teams themselves sustain the rivalries, but it's the players that make the rivalry because of the competition. Whenever you have competition between two teams, you get great football, and that's what this whole thing is about, competition. And It's just that competition now just moves around so much until there's no stability and building a rivalry like we have with Kansas City. One of the best, I think, in pro football.
Well, you can't hit anybody anymore either, so that kind of takes out of the rivalries too.
Yeah.
Well, George, hey, man, I'll tell you what, we cannot thank you enough for joining us. We've kept you too long once again. We always do because you are literally, I'm not joking when I say you are our favorite guest. We have lots of guys on out throughout the week. We break down a lot of games, a lot of guests. George, you're our favorite. You're the man. We will definitely come out to see you there in Oakland, and let's catch up again as the season comes on. We got 2 more times, and we will talk to you then.
You got it. Call me anytime. You got my number. You know I love coming on.
Thank you so much, George. We'll catch up soon, my man.
Be good.
I love George Atkinson. Thanks so much for joining us, George, as always. And I tell you what, how cool must it be for him? He's got his son, George Atkinson III, is on the team as a backup running back. Hopefully he makes the squad. And
they're saying he's doing some great things in the return game. Definitely is a talented runner, can catch the ball, just needs to work on his pass protection, it sounds like, from what George is saying. Sounds like he needs to deliver the blow and not wait for the guy to come to him. You step up, learn your technique, and you deliver the blow right in the heart of that defender.
Let me ask you this. When you were a kid growing up as a Chiefs fan, and of course a diehard Raider hater,
yes,
did you ever think that you would be spending time literally hugging it out on air with a guy like George Atkinson?
I did not. I never thought that day would come, but since the Chiefs have become mediocre and ever since Marty Schottenheimer left, he really delivered that message of hating the Raiders, and if we're going to win one game this season, it is going to be against the Raiders.
Marty owned the Raiders. I think lost only 4 times to them in the entire decade of the 90s, but you're right, the rivalry, and George is right, the rivalry isn't what it once was, and we're going to talk about that more coming up as the season gets underway and to see where these teams are going to find themselves throughout the year. But guys, finally, when we come up at the end of our next segment, our last segment is going to be senior ESPN writer Jeffri Chadiha talking about the best of the rest. And joining us for our final segment here on the Outsider Sports Show, we have ESPN senior writer Jeffri Chadiha. Jeff, how's everything going? I know you can't be busy this time of year. How's everything going, man?
I'm staying pretty busy. You got that right, Everett. So then bouncing around and trying to get back into football mode. It's kind of tough, but I'm doing my best.
Well, absolutely, man. And of course, we've been talking about this team here in Kansas City, and talked with Daniel Jeremiah a little bit earlier about teams that may be taking a step back here. And here in the Outsider Sports Show, Jeffri, we have kind of targeted our Kansas City Chiefs as a team that is a candidate maybe to take a step back. Well, how do you see it playing out for them? And do you agree with us, or are you a little more high on this team than we are here in Kansas City?
Oh, I think they'll take a step back, but it won't be like a major step back. I think it's going to be tough for them to get to 11 wins this year. You look at who they have to play: the Niners, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Patriots, the Steelers. I mean, it's tough opponents out there. But you look at their secondary, their offensive line; they got some questions there, and they'll be a good team. They will compete, and they may have a chance at a playoff spot, but it won't nearly be anything what it was last year.
Well, what do you see in this contract situation? Andy Dalton gets his new deal, 6 years, $115 million. How much of that you probably won't see, but what do you see in the Alex Smith and Justin Houston contracts and what the Chiefs should do with those?
Well, I think Dalton's situation, this is Colin Kaepernick, is a little different because they're younger players. They still have a lot to prove in this league. Alex Smith has been around longer, and he doesn't have as much time left in the NFL as they do, so I'm certain he doesn't want to just settle for the kind of contract that is basically, year by year, shows what you can do type deal. He's not worth $18 million. He's probably not going to get $18 million, but I can see him getting something in the $14 to $15 million range. And Justin Houston probably going to end up being franchised, I imagine. I mean, he's a little bit trickier. I think they want to see what happens with Von Miller's deal in Denver and what happens with Alvin Smith's deal in San Francisco. 2 players who are very comparable to him and probably better players than him right now. But it's tough to sit there and wait for your money when you know you've done a lot to prove that you deserve it.
I want to go over to the NFC West real quick and talk about the Niners, Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams. On paper, it looks like a team like the Rams has a good chance to be a very much improved team this year. But are they going to be able to do that in a division like the NFC West? And do you see a maybe change at the top with maybe San Francisco being able to win the division this year over the Seahawks?
I like the Niners in that division right now. I think they've made more moves in the offseason that really strengthened their team. But I think you're right. I think St. Louis is a potential sleeper. Even though it's a tough division of football right now, but the Arizona Cardinals won 10 games playing that division last year. And I believe St. Louis has enough ability to do that. You look at their front seven, look at their running game, their offensive line, the moves they made to really bolster those areas. And look at the blueprint for success in the NFL right now. You look at Carolina, Seattle, San Francisco, all those teams play great defense. They run the ball well, efficient quarterback play. The Rams have the potential to have all three of those things happen for them, so that makes me pretty high on them.
Well, we've heard a lot of people that are high on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, high on the Washington Redskins going into this season. Are you as high on them as other people are with Josh McCown at quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? How high can you really get on them?
I'm higher on them than I am on the Redskins. I think the Redskins have continually been dysfunctional, but I'm a big fan of Lovie Smith. I think he came in there and really set the tone, making a lot of moves, winning house, getting the guys he wanted to have in there. And Josh McCown, I think he's a lot like maybe a poor-man Sam Bradford, maybe a poor-man Joe Flacco, a guy a guy who can go in there and do what a coach wants, not turn the ball over, run the offense, and really get your defensive position to make plays. I think that team is a lot of young talent. Gerald McCoy, Levante David, Deshaun Goldston, Jackson. You go up and down the line. They got the talent, the playmakers. The key for them is really just being consistent.
What do you see in the AFC North? Do you still see the Bengals as the team to beat in that division? The Steelers made some moves this offseason. And the Cleveland Browns with Johnny Manziel, if he comes on, they have a really strong defense that could carry them. But without Josh Gordon, it could be an uphill battle.
Well, I think you're right. I think as far as Cleveland is concerned, I think without having Josh Gordon there, it's hard to really see them making a huge leap. Pittsburgh, I thought, was going to be down for a while, but they've had some great offseason moves, picking up Ryan Shazier and Stephon Tuitt, two pretty good defensive players who will help them get good on that side of the ball, get better on that side of the ball pretty fast. I think they're going to be a more physical team. I think they want to run the ball more. They got LeGarrette Blount in there. They're getting back to old Steelers football, but if I had to pick one team in that division, I'd still go with Cincinnati. They've got the best talent. Dalton is going to continue to grow and develop, and they won the last 2 years, so they're going to be right there again.
Well, last year I had the Bears winning the NFC North. You went with the Packers. I was telling you how wrong you were, and the Packers made it, and the Bears didn't quite make it. So I guess there's a reason you get all that money with ESPN.
Yeah, well, and every now and then I get it right. It was pretty close there. Aaron Rodgers being gone for about 6-7 weeks kind of scared me off. I think they are a sleeper in the NFC. Everybody loves talking about Seattle and San Francisco and Carolina and New Orleans, those teams, but Green Bay still has one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. A lot of playmakers down there, and they were the champions of this league 4 years ago. So those guys are still around, and they're going to be in the hunt.
Well, let's see if I can jinx another team. I really like the New York Jets this season. I believe in Geno Smith. I saw a lot of good things last year, minus all the turnovers and not being able to read an NFL defense. I saw some great accurate throws and being able to get hit in the chops and deliver an accurate throw. So if he can read the defenses, understand what they're doing against him, and go through his progressions, which is a lot to take on, but I believe in his development. I think he gets the Jets into the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like saying if a running back can only stop fumbling, he could be a phenomenal Hall of Fame type guy, right?
Right.
Take it easy on me, Jeff, here.
I'm not as big a fan of Geno. I do like Michael Vick being there. I think that they're going to do a lot of what they did with Mark Sanchez and try to run the ball more with Chris Johnson in the fold and, playing good defense. He's got talent, and I think he has potential, but it's the key for him is not trying to do too much and trying to find his own niche. And I think that he'll be better in year two. Marty Morningway will get quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator. He'll get better.
Well, Jeff, before we let you go, we've had to hold our other guests' feet to the fire and force them. And in George Atkinson's case, literally forced him to make a Super Bowl pick. Now George wasn't near us to deliver a forearm shiver, so we felt a little more comfortable demanding him to do it. So, Jeff, Super Bowl picks way too early. Let's make them and let's stick to it, okay?
I'm going Broncos and Niners, and the Niners to win it all. And I'm pretty high on both those teams right now, so I'll stick with that.
How are the Niners going to get there and win a Super Bowl without Alex Smith at the helm, Jeff? How can it be possible?
They're motivated to they can win without him. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
They can do it without Alex Smith there. So.
Do you have any surprising new playoff teams that you see in the mix?
I think the Rams will be in the mix, and I'll go on a limb here and think the Raiders be in the playoffs.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they might make a move here with some of the veterans they brought in there, Justin Tuck, Lamar Woodley, Matt Schaub. I think they got some guys who want to prove themselves. A team that's got to win right now, so they might be there. I'll take them.
We mentioned George Atkinson and some forearm shivers going around, and all of a sudden Jeff Chadiha picks the Oakland Raiders to make the playoffs.
That's right. And I know George, too, so I used to cover the Raiders, so I know what he can do. So let him know that I'm behind his team.
We will definitely get that message across.
Oh, well, Jeff, I'll tell you what. I know we got some preseason action get ready to kick off, and we've already kept you too long, so can't thank you enough for joining us. Enjoy the season. I know it's hard to say that whenever you're out working and absolutely just engulfed with projects as the season's going on, but enjoy it. We'll be reading on ESPN.com as always. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy it, my man.
All right, thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
Take care, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Always great to catch up with our buddy Jeffri Chadiha, ESPN senior writer. And it's going to be interesting to see where things go from here. Now, Noah, before we go, I want to, everyone's waiting for our picks. They're on the site. They're on our Twitter, blowing it up right now. Like, we've heard from your great guests. What do you guys think? They're waiting with bated breath. So start with you. Playoff picks, wild cards.
Well, starting in the AFC, I think the division winners from last year remain at the top. I've got the Patriots, I've got the Colts, I've got the Bengals, and I've got the Broncos. Where it gets a little tricky is those wild card teams. I don't think the Chargers and Chiefs make it again. I'm a believer in Geno Smith. I think he's going to develop. Saw a lot of really good things I liked last year. Just perfect, absolute prime-time throws that you saw from Geno Smith. He stood in the pocket, took a hit, and delivered the ball on target. You can't teach the guts in the pocket. So I've got the Jets in the playoffs. That's right. They're going to be that first wild card team. And then I've got the Steelers bringing up the rear. I think they're 9-7. But I think they're going to be that last playoff team you see in the AFC. Going over to the NFC, I've got the 49ers winning the NFC West over the Seattle Seahawks. I like what they've done, adding Stevie Johnson from the Buffalo Bills at wide receiver and bringing Brandon Lloyd back he took a year off last year. He's going to come back in the fold. Michael Crabtree's going to be healthy the whole year, so I like what the 49ers are doing. And then I've got the Bears winning the NFC North. I think Alshon Jeffrey and another year under Dressman is really going to add up to a playoff season for the Bears. Moving on to the NFC North, I've got the Saints. In the East, there's nobody you can pick but the Eagles. Everybody else has too many holes. Redskins defense, Giants offensive line, and Eli Manning's turnovers. Cowboys, Tony Romo's back, and the worst defense in pro football.
There it is. It's on. It's out there.
Wild card teams. Seattle Seahawks, Green Bay Packers. Those are my wild card teams. I don't think the Falcons or Panthers or Bucks are going to do it. I don't like the Lions yet, and like I said, NFC East, they'll be fighting for second, but they'll fall short of the playoffs.
All right, let's do it. Let's go to the AFC for me, and I've got, very similar pick as you, because if you look at it, it's Denver in the AFC West, and that's not even debatable. But I'm going to give San Diego Chargers a wild card spot out of there. I still think that they're a wild card, no pun intended, team, because you just don't know what you're going to get from them year to year. Same with Phillip Rivers.
Another year, Keenan Allen will definitely bode well for the Chargers.
Yeah. So let's give the Chargers a playoff spot out of the West. And as you go to the North, I'm going to pick the Ravens to win that division. I think Cincinnati, Andy Dalton's got the new deal. I just don't think he's the guy for them going forward. I like their defense, if they can get Geno Atkins back healthy. But I'm going to go only one playoff team in that division. The Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
Winning the division, you betcha. So that means that we go to the East. And I love the New England Patriots. Everyone knows that because Tom Brady's my man crush, okay? Patriots win that division. And guess what? The Buffalo Bills finish second and make the playoffs.
They've got a strong offensive and defensive line. Sammy Watkins, E.J. Manuel's going to hopefully stay healthy all year. So
I don't like Geno Smith as much as you in New York. Just an astronomical amount of turnovers. You talked about guts in the pocket. He does have that. I saw some really good balls from him, but some equally horrible ones as well. Part of being a rookie. Yeah, we'll see.
Definitely got to go through his progressions and read the defense more. So that's definitely what he's been working on all offseason.
In the South, it's the Colts. That's all that needs to be said. And as we go to the NFC, my favorite division, the NFC East. Let's talk about it in depth. Do I have 10 minutes? Oh, no, only one. Okay. Eagles.
Not enough people talk about
Eagles,
it, so we've got to get it on our
I know,
show.
ESPN doesn't do near enough. So, yeah, Eagles, that's, Eagles in the East, I agree with you there. Cowboys, like you said, worst defense ever.
The Mizzou Eagles.
Yes.
I think that's what we have in the NFC East.
That's kind of what it is. We got Henry Josie and Jeremy Maclin, Brad Smith. I like that. How about in the North? And I got the Packers there. Yes, I've got the Packers, but I've got the second place Detroit Lions taking a wild card spot from those Bears.
It's going to be rough with that defense, but their offense will put up the points.
I like that. You're right. And in the NFC West, I agree with you. I got the Niners finishing ahead of Seattle, even by marginal, maybe by one game or so. I mean, I think it's going to be close. Those are two of the best teams in football, and they'll fight it out. I think the Rams are better. The Cardinals had a good year last year, but it's those two teams, and that's all it's going to be. So in the South, my other wild card team's going to come up, Noah. Yes, it is, because I've got the Saints winning it, but I've got the Dirty Birds rise up, Atlanta Falcons making a push back into the playoffs, and that's how I see it. Super Bowl picks, let's do it. I've got, my gosh, George Atkinson was right. It is way too early, but I love the Patriots. I love Tom Brady. I hate Denver. They're good, but let's go New England, and let's just say, let's go New England, Green Bay.
New England, Green Bay, that'd be a good one. Two great quarterbacks. I'd love to see that happen. I'm also going to agree with you sort of halfway. I've got the New England Patriots. I've got Tom Brady. They added Brandon Browner. They added Darrelle Revis. They added Brandon LaFell, which gives them some size in the receiving core. I definitely think they make it back to the AFC Championship game again, and they move on and go to the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos. It's going to be those two teams. I'm sure it'll come down to that in the AFC Championship game, but the Patriots will get the best of them this time. And in the NFC, I've got the San Francisco 49ers. I said that they were going to win the NFC West, and I think they're going to roll through with home field advantage and get to the Super Bowl and take on those New England Patriots.
You mean without Alex Smith, they're going to get back to a Super Bowl? Are
Somehow,
you kidding me?
I don't know how they've done it.
I have no idea either. It's
because
unbelievable.
Without Alex Smith, it's tough to win games in this league. You need a guy that will not turn the ball over.
Don't do it.
Colin does it a little bit. He also makes some great plays. He's going to need to cut that out. We don't want the great plays. Just don't turn the ball over.
Guys,
please.
Thank you so much for joining us on our 2014 NFL preview. Thanks to our guests, Daniel Jeremiah, George Atkinson, and Jeffri Chadiha. Can't thank them enough for coming on. And guys, be sure to head over to our website, GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com, where you can see all of it. All of our stuff is now hosted on that site. You don't get it for free on YouTube. You go over to the site and watch it, well, for free on the site. You just got to go to the site. Go to the site, GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com. Thank you guys so much. Hit us up on Twitter, GA Sports Network. Facebook, just search Great American Sports Network. I don't have the URL. Don't want to find it. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy the season. NFL is upon us. The Shield is the king.
Ready for some football!
Go!
Special forces are in full flight. We're coming by air and on the ground. Monday Night Football's taking over the town.